Designers and printers discovered long ago that if they were printing with 2 or 3 inks, like Pantone spot colors, they could expand the number of potential colors on their page by printing different tints of the colors on top of each other. For example, let's say we're going to add Pantone 361 to this job. I'll go to the Swatches panel, and from the flyout menu choose New Color Swatch. Let's make a new spot color here, and it's going to be a Pantone solid-coated 361, this beautiful green color. Let's go ahead and make a second Pantone color as well. So I'll click Add. That adds it while keeping the dialog box open. And let's choose another one, maybe 286, nice blue color. Click OK, and we now have 2 different Pantone colors in the Swatches panel. Hey, by the way, off on a tangent, did you ever notice that your Pantone colors still have the CMYK little icon next to them? And if you hover on top of them, you get CMYK breakdowns? Well, that's because, by default, InDesign is showing you the CMYK values. It's defining your Pantone colors based on CMYK values, and that's kind of annoying. So I'm just going to take a quick diversion here, go down to Ink Manager, and set Use Standard Lab Values for spot colors. That's going to give me more accurate values for my spot colors, both on screen and when I print on a color printer. So I'll click OK, and now the icons change to show me that these are based on lab values, not CMYK values. So that's a good thing. Okay, so we've got a couple spot colors in our document. Now we know how to make a tint build, like a swatch of process colors, right? So like 20% cyan and 30% magenta. That's easy in the Swatches panel. But what do we do when we want to make a tint build of Pantone colors? Well, in that case, you go to the flyout menu and you choose New Mixed Ink Swatch. That's the trick. The Mixed Ink Swatch dialog box is a little bit weird to look at. It's a little clunky, but it's pretty straightforward. You click on the checkbox next to the inks that you want to mix, and it puts this very strange looking icon. I have no idea what that is. Maybe an inkwell or something. But these are the 2 inks that I'm going to be working with, and I'm going to specify how much of each of them I want. Let's say I want maybe 20% black and 50% of that green color. Pretty good? We have to change the name ourselves. I really wish there was a checkbox here that says name it for me, but there isn't. So I'll say 20K and 50% of 361. You got the idea. You can name it anything you want. Click OK, and it adds it here at the bottom of our swatches panel. Let me make this a little bit longer so we can see that. There's our swatch. We get a little mixed ink icon there, and I'll select one of the objects on my page, click on this to fill it, and I've filled that with my mixed ink swatch. Okay, this is great, except that if I needed to make, 10 or 20 of these mixed ink swatches, it would get pretty tiresome doing them one at a time. So I'm going to show you a trick to make a whole bunch of swatches in one go. And that is, you go to the flyout menu in the Swatches panel, and you choose New Mixed Ink Group. And the group gives me a whole bunch of swatches all at once. For example, I'll make a group between black and 361. I should point out that this interface is very confusing for anybody, even advanced users. So I'm going to tell you just what I start with, and then you can go from there. I usually start with something like 0% black, repeat 3 times, and increment by 20%. And then for my spot color, I'll start with, let's say, 20, and increment 4 times by 20. Now what this is going to do is it's going to create 20 different swatches here. And if I click on Preview Swatches, you'll see all of the different swatches it's creating, from light to dark. The first 4 swatches are going to be 0% black, and then 20% of that color, and then 40% of the color, and then 60% of the color, 80% of the color, and then 100% of the color. Then it's going to increment up to 20% black, plus 20% of this color, then 40% of this color, and so on. It does it all incrementally. I better name this something other than Group 1, because that's going to just confuse me. How about Black and 361 Mixed Ink Group? There you go. Click OK, and you see all of those are added here. Unfortunately, you get a really dumb name, Black and 361, Mixed Ink Swatch 1, and so on. But if you hover on top of any of these, you get a little tooltip that tells you what it is. This one is 40% black and 60% Pantone 361, and so on. So we can go through here and click on them until we get the color that we want. Now, one of the cool things about mixed ink groups is they have a group master object swatch thing here. And if I double click on that, it reopens the dialog box, or opens a new dialog box that says which colors do you want to mix. So I can say black plus anything. Note that I can actually make a mixed ink group with process colors as well. So this could be very handy even if you're not using spot colors. If you're just using process colors, you can still do mixed ink groups. But I'm going to just change this to 286, and I better change the name so I don't confuse myself later. Click OK, and look at that. All of our mixed ink swatches updated automatically. If I later decide I don't want any of these, I can delete this mixed ink group by clicking on the delete button, and it'll delete all of the swatches underneath that group for me. So that's kind of handy. Of course, there are some precautions to take here. For example, spot colors don't always mix as well as process color inks, especially when you're dealing with fluorescent or metallic inks. Also, you really can't trust spot colors that you see on screen, even in a color-managed environment. The only way to get an accurate proof of a spot color is to see it on press. Finally, when you're printing with spot colors, especially when you're mixing tints of these together, you have to be very careful to set your halftone screen angles. So beware in the print dialog box of whatever application you're printing from, either InDesign or if you're exporting PDFs from Acrobat. But someone needs to pay attention to those halftone screen angles, or you could get moiré problems. Nevertheless, even with all these issues, if you're using any kind of spot color, you really owe it to yourself to check out mixed ink swatches to get a wider range of colors. Speaking of a wider range of colors, that's what we're going to look at in the next movie too, when we tackle printing duotones.